What is up, everybody? Welcome to Ghost in the Night, a paranormal and true crime podcast. I am Phil, and Travis is always sitting to my left.
I was checking for the audio interference.
Do we have audio interference?
I don't think so.
I think we fixed that problem. You know how we fix that problem?
Move stuff.
Move stuff around and start unplugging shit. That's what we do around here. And if that wouldn't have worked, what would we have done?
O'Doyle rules.
We would have hit something with a
We
hammer.
would have cried.
We would hit something with a fucking
We've
hammer.
also done that. We've been known to do that.
And do a lot of cussing. My shirt's staticky.
This is going to be a fucking
Jesus.
shit show. It's all falling apart already. This is awful. This is
horrible.
why nobody listens to this podcast. Because
bullshit. We are. Did you see what we were ranking today? We were in the U.S. yesterday.
I saw that.
But today we were in like a bunch of countries today.
Really?
Yeah, hold
I
on.
saw Bahrain. Or were we out in Bahrain?
The Bahrainians love us.
No, that's Sri Lanka that loves us.
We dropped out of Sri Lanka.
I know, but we were in Bahrain.
Hold on, let me look.
I fancy myself a bit of a nerd, and I had to fucking Google where Bahrain was.
Where is Bahrain?
It's an Asian country. That's all I know.
Oh, tell me.
I think they said it's by Cambodia.
I think I deleted it.
You son of a bitch. This is why we can't have nice things. This is fucking horse shit. Keep my Bigfoot away from you before you break that too.
We were in Italy for a while.
We jump in and out of Italy.
The mob loves us. I must have deleted, but like Ireland, Great Britain.
Yeah, we jump in and out of Ireland too.
Yeah, so man, we were up there, man.
We're fucking awesome. No, we're not.
But anyway. So tonight we are going to cover the Apollo 11 moon landing and the Apollo missions in general, but mainly the Apollo 11 mission. Was it fact? Was Neil Armstrong the actual first man to walk on the moon? Did he step foot on the moon? Or is this the greatest hoax of all time? That is the question I want to ask to you, Travis, and our loyal listeners. We don't really give a shit about their opinion.
That would have been a perfect time to have a button to do the old-timey newspaper read thing. But tonight, we're going to speak on the moon landing.
But if you listen to us with any frequency, we do a lot of shenanigans.
We suck.
We suck. That's why I had a stroke, because I'm just so nervous about this shit. We like to dick around a little bit in the beginning. Let's shoot some shit. Travis is probably going to say something stupid.
Speaking of.
Oh, what?
What did the sign say on the out-of-business brothel?
I don't know.
Beat it. We're closed.
Good advice.
I got a really dark one.
What?
Why did the guitar teacher get arrested?
I have no idea.
Fingering a minor.
A minor? What about G minor? Is there a G minor? I don't even know. It's been so long since I actually took music theory in high school.
No, there's a G.
I just want to say, I don't know. I don't pay it. And with my hand now, I'll never play guitar again. My guitar career is over.
There's only one Z note, though, and it can only be played by ZZ Top.
What? Oh, I got it.
God.
Hey. Anyway. Oh, shit. People are here. What the hell? When did that happen? When did that happen? When did people get here? But if you're listening to this podcast via your favorite podcast player, you can always join us live at youtube.com/ghostinthenight.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to our wonderful voices and also interact with our crazy listeners who are in the chat currently, because they are here weekly to listen to this bullshit.
Well, when we're here weekly, they're here weekly.
Like I said, next month or so, we'll kind of get back to normal. I won't have any more strokes. I'll try. But before we get it in, well, we're getting it in tonight. I want to talk, since this is kind of a conspiratorial podcast, because, the moon landing there are those that believe it's a conspiracy. Spoiler alert. There's the latest conspiracy that I just heard today. Have you heard this? About the Bill Safety Hamlin. What's his name?
Damar Hamlin.
Damar.
Being dead.
Yes, apparently there's a big conspiracy. Well, it all started from his appearance on Sunday's game against our beloved Cincinnati Bengals. He was in a box, one of those luxury boxes. But apparently, I did see it, But it was, for one, the camera was far away. It was snowing, so you couldn't get a real good look at it. Had a mask on. I guess there's other footage of him coming in and out, and his mom and brother, whatever.
I would assume so.
But apparently there are numerous amounts of conspiracies floating around the interweb about it was somebody else. They're saying possibly he died, and they're just not telling us yet because
It's not him dying is not what I'm laughing at. I'm laughing at the idea that's circulating in my head.
that he, for some reason, they used a body double. Whether or not he was not well enough to go, which makes absolutely no sense, or he actually passed away, and they're keeping him alive because they don't want to ruin the Super Bowl. They're going to wait till after the Super Bowl to...
He died.
Hey, by the way, he's dead. Which, let's be honest, the NFL is about money. They would milk, and God love them, they would milk that story if he passed away.
Yeah.
If he actually did pass away, they would milk it all it's worth for the next month. Or about 3 weeks now, I guess, until the Super Bowl, whatever. They would milk that and double their fucking, what's the word? The Super Bowl commercials.
Revenue?
For the Super Bowl commercials.
Uh,
All kind of tributes and everything.
all I can think of is like,
Because let's be honest, that story took over the world, what, 3 weeks ago, whatever?
well, yeah,
Because
he fucking died on a football field.
well, theoretically, he did die. They had to do CPR and actually get out the paddles.
The defibrillators.
Yes.
That's a thing somewhere.
What?
Oh fuck! It's like the UK or something like that.
What?
Or maybe it's a city.
What?
Like there's defibrillators within X distance from like anybody at any time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know this. But this was something that nobody's ever seen on a Monday Night Football game. It has happened before.
Or a Sunday night football game for that matter.
There has been a player died in an NFL game back in the 70s. I mean,
ancient history.
It's not like it has never happened. It has happened.
We can't live life off those cave drawings.
Yes. But it's a big deal. Naturally, it captured the world's attention, which as it should have.
Yeah, motherfucker died on screen. It's
And
just
we
like
had to watch
soccer.
it.
Nobody gives a fuck about soccer, but when that one dude like basically died on a soccer field, everybody was like, ole, 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 ole. But here's what I'm thinking. All I kept thinking, and the reason why I chuckled when I was listening to that conspiracy, could you imagine being the dude that that like volunteers to portray a dead football player or just a dead person, but in real life? Like, how do you have a casting call for that kind of thing?
Yes, you do.
What if like you just have a bunch of dudes like reading off of a script, and then like they're like, "Fuck it, we're going with the most famous name," and like Kel from Keenan and Kel is playing Damar Hamlin in the NFL story. Damar Hamlin.
Yes.
You know who Kel?
No, I have no fucking idea.
Keenan and Kel from Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Literally about 3 minutes of that movie.
Oh God, you're a disgrace. That's why you had a stroke.
That's why I had a stroke. Because I have good taste in movies and I won't watch that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like they would cover up someone's. I feel like they'd just be like, "Yeah, no, he died." I feel like it'd be easier to just be like, "He died."
For one,
he's dead.
I'm an avid podcast listener during the day to pass the time, and political shows that I listen to were talking about it, this conspiracy. And for one, if you don't know shit about football or sports in general, don't comment on shit. Because they were making a big deal about, one of them was making a big deal about why he was in the boxes. For one,
It's cold.
It's snowing in Buffalo. Buffalo's
And he just died. He's a zombie.
Exactly. Of course he's not going to be on the sideline. But then why would he not come? Why would he just stay home? Because he wants to be a part of the team. He wants to be there for his brothers in arms.
Yeah, you go high five him, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to be up in the box eating free city barbecue.
But, people just...
That was a good pause. And this fucking train in the background.
It's all right. No, I was reading a comment. Did you read the comment? What do we not know?
I think just this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I knew about it.
Oh.
I didn't really pay much attention to it. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
I had a stroke. You have to be more specific. Just all caps.
Phil
doesn't
did
do it
have a
for me.
stroke.
All caps doesn't do it for me. You got to tell me what. I forgot. Anyway. So, but, you know, people that...
Oh.
But
How do you not know who Keenan and Kel are?
Oh, is that
That's
what
it is?
Because I'm 50.
You know who Keenan Thompson is, though? It's from Saturday
Night Live, but let's be honest, I don't watch Saturday Night Live anymore because it hasn't been good since the 80s.
I almost got really bad. I feel like that would have got some hate if I would have said what I just thought.
Well, say it. Who gives a shit? Nobody's listening anyway.
I don't even remember what you said.
I don't even.
I remember what I was going to say, but I don't remember the lead up.
Oh.
So I forget why it was so fucked up but funny.
Literally, Good Burger was not a good movie. Wasn't even that
funny.
funny.
That's true. I mean,
wasn't even that funny.
I mean, it was funny if you were like 9.
Yes, but as we've covered on this podcast,
You
I'm
were
not
9?
I'm
Yes,
not 9.
Not physically.
I mean, emotionally and mentally, I'm about 7.5.
Butterfingers.
Yeah, Butterfingers.
I still can't believe I forgot to get you a fucking Butterfinger to bring to the hospital.
I know. Fuck it. But
I feel like that would have been a bad idea. They would have seen that and be like, oh, you're definitely going to have another stroke if you eat that.
But anyway, getting back to Hamlin and this conspiracy. This, you know, I've always been to the firm believer that there is some truth to all conspiracies.
You think Damar Hamlin's dead?
No, I'm 100% sure he's probably alive. I don't fucking know, but don't know.
Why does it matter? That's my whole thing. Is like, what does it fucking change?
But
if they say he's dead or not, like, who gives a shit? That sounds bad. I give a shit, and I want him to be alive and well. But like the NFL, like, what do they
exactly? What's the motive?
The Super Bowl's coming up. Like, they're already gonna make $1 billion from fucking Super Bowl commercials. What is another? They're not gonna make more than that.
But
on jersey sales and shit, people are just gonna fucking print them off their crickets and shit.
Basically the term conspiracy theorist came from the JFK assassination. It was this government and CIA was using that term to degrade these people who thought there was more to the story than what we were told.
Degradation.
Exactly. But I'm a firm believer in conspiracy theories. There are you can't look at MK Ultra and not believe in.
You're fired up about this one.
I am. This pisses me off. You can't look at whatever the operation to blow up a jetliner and blame Cuba so we can go to war. What was that, Northbrook or what was that, Operation Northwoods or something? Was that? I think that was that.
Oh, I don't know the operation name. I wasn't 25 when JFK was shot.
Neither was I. I wasn't even a twinkle in my mother's eye yet. Or Gulf of Tonkin.
Great movie.
Yes. It wasn't a movie, but that's okay.
It sounds like a Polynesian actress. Gulf of Tonkin.
Or a shitty wrestler. I like that, huh? But there happens to be a little bit of kernel of truth in most conspiracy theories. But the problem is you get whack jobs that take it to the next fucking level and start connecting dots that shouldn't be connected. But you have to realize that there are some weird things that go on. But this NFL conspiracy now pushes me over the edge. This is why these motherfuckers get laughed out of the room. And the real conspiracies, such as, I don't know, COVID. Oh, did I say that out loud? My bad.
Damn, I should have made my hot take button.
But my favorite conspiracy with Hamlin is the vaccine. You know, a healthy, above average physique, probably, but has an issue, which this happens.
Has an issue. No, he died periodically.
But this happens now.
Or he died momentarily.
This event actually does. I think we covered this. Maybe we could talk about this. This actually is fairly common. I wouldn't say common. It happens more often than other sports, like baseball and hockey, where you have a projectile flying at you in high speed and you get hit in the chest.
Curling. If you took one of those things to the chest, it might give you a heart attack.
Well, what are you doing laying on the fucking ice?
It's just like what if the broom slips?
That is true. Then you get impaled.
Curler dies in a meet today in Minnesota. Here's Craig Ferguson with the details.
But this is the conspiracy that really sets me off because it makes all conspiracy theorists look like freaking idiots and whack jobs.
Fair enough.
Because this is the kind of shit that the government loves because it throws in doubt everything else they've ever said. So settle down. Not everything is a... Settle down,
I'm not
kids.
the one that's fired up over this.
No, I meant these conspiracy theorists. Settle down a little bit. Not everything is a conspiracy.
Or is it?
No. Now, you just
Did you hear my shoulder
use
pop?
some common sense, people. What's like for this NFL and Hamlin thing? What's the fucking motive? What's the goddamn motive? For the love of God,
you can't handle the truth.
But anyway.
Damn.
Okay, that's enough on him. You got anything else you want to cover before we get to this hoax moon landing?
I don't think so. I want to watch The Whale though. That's pretty much as far as that goes because I haven't seen it yet.
What the fuck is the whale?
The Brendan Fraser movie.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's making his comeback. He just got Critics' Choice Award Best Actor for The Whale.
Huh.
He made a triumphant return. They're saying it's like Oscar worthy. Like he
More
might
than
get
Encino Man?
right?
I mean,
Or George of the Jungle. He told a funny ass story on what is it? That fucking British late night TV show with the one guy with the face.
Oh, Graham.
Yes.
Yes.
But he was talking about fucking the monkey on George of the Jungle. He was like, Mr. Bix was a boy monkey, and he had to wear a boy monkey thong, and when he'd get frustrated, he'd rip it off, and he'd jump and hide in the ceilings. He's like, this is late night TV, right? And they were like, yeah. And he was like, and he would jack it. And I was like, Brendan Fraser's telling a story about a monkey jacking off in the ceiling. I am alive for the peak of the entertainment business at that point in my life.
I'm just saying some of his work with Pauly Shore is the best I've ever seen.
Well, a lot of people forget he was also in Son-in-Law.
Was he?
Yeah. As Link from Encino Man. And in the first 10 minutes, they're at when they're having the party in the dorm room and the fat guy sits on her grandpa's whittled horse and shit. That sounded bad. He copped a squat on grandpa's whittled horse. You remember that part? And she was all uncomfortable.
It's been so long.
When they made friends. Yeah. Well, Crawl, Pauly Shore's character, is fucking the Chiquita banana chick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that he walks up to him. And he's like, hey, about it. And then he pulls the fake frog out of his hat and he cooks it with a lighter and takes a bite of it and just walks away.
I will have to go back and revisit that. It's been so long.
I honestly can't name another one.
Of what?
Furry Vengeance. He was in that movie. I didn't watch it, but
Well, The Mummy.
The Mummy. Apparently, that's part of the reason why he put on so much weight. Because all the action films he did, his back was all fucked up. He got a knee replacement and shit.
Don't be a pussy. I had a stroke. I don't want to hear your shit. I broke my back. Shut the fuck up, Brandon Fraser.
It's Brendan.
Brandon Dick.
At least show him that gratitude
I won't
and respect.
show him. Well, wasn't he in? Oh, his finest work, was it Bedad? Where he was bedazzled or something? Where
was that him?
I think that was him with
Elizabeth Hurley.
Yes, and she was a devil.
It was, wasn't it?
I think that was him.
No, you know what his best movie was, and I don't know. I think this was him. Fucking Monkey Bone. Have you ever seen Monkey Bone?
No.
I think he was in Monkey Bone. I'm pretty sure. If he was in Monkey Bone, that's his best movie.
Well, it's
on YouTube right now.
I have a question. So he's making a big comeback? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years.
I didn't even know he was gone.
Now he's putting suckers in tears.
All right. Let's get to the movie.
He really is. Apparently this movie will just make you sob like a young child whose father never brought him that Butterfinger he promised him.
Bastard. All right, let's get to the moon landing. Now, before we start this moon landing, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm not a moon landing denier.
Nor am I.
I believe the United States and NASA did set foot on the moon.
But
there are some weird things with the Apollo 11 mission that we're going to cover here, and I don't doubt anybody for questioning it,
I think a lot of the photos and shit and the evidence that we've been shown is bullshit.
which we're going to get to. So
That's the episode. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
I have a question.
We'll see you next week. We're going to talk about
we're not leaving.
projectile enemas.
I don't want the 2.5 people watching us to leave.
Did you like that fucked fact, though? I found that one very interesting, the one I posted.
I don't listen to it.
I brought back the fucked facts
I don't
on our
listen
Instagram.
I don't listen to it or a damn thing you say.
I posted it on Instagram.
I don't look
It's
at
a thing I wrote. It was about tooth and eye disease or
I didn't
surgery.
see that, actually.
Yeah, I brought back the fucked facts.
Fuck fact? Sweet.
Yeah, it's a surgery where they take a lamina. They take a tooth, and then they like put it in, like
The static clinging to my shirt is killing me.
Jesus, and then they take a lamina of the tooth and like put it in your eye and with some like ocular shit, and oftentimes it can restore vision in that eye. It looks all creepy. It's weird. It kind of looks like if you popped out your nut and then popped it into your eye socket and then put like a fucking
That would be the ugliest eye of all
and then
time.
put like one of the little fucking things from like a light bright in it. You know, light bright where you put the things on the board and they light up different colors.
You are just an abundance of useless information.
Somebody's got to do it.
Okay.
I owe it to the world to fucking have this knowledge.
All right, let's get to moon landing. Why are we as human beings so fascinated with the moon? I mean, since the dawn of time, as long as humans have been walking on this earth, we have been fascinated with the heavens. Would you agree with this?
Yes, we got a comment that said that this person's grandma played golf with Neil Armstrong, and she can ask her if she can confirm it. Reminds me of another good one.
We're going to cover Neil because Neil's a fascinating character.
You know the difference between the G spot and a golf ball?
You can find the golf ball?
Men will search for a golf ball.
Oh, I'll search for that motherfucker. I ain't finding it. I think it's like Bigfoot. It's a myth.
It's transdimensional.
Yes. Every time I get close, it just disappears.
It is here, but
it's
it
like
is
Bigfoot.
there.
You get a glimpse of it, you try to take a picture, and it's gone.
It's not. It doesn't look as cool as you thought it would. It's not as ferocious.
I'm
Less teeth. Go on.
I'm just lying. I can find it. I've seen it.
Bigfoot?
Yes.
Fucking knew where you were going with that one.
Damn it. All right. But since the dawn of time, human beings have been fascinated with the heavens. I mean, of course, back then in caveman days or, in the medieval ages, there was not much to do. Didn't have the Instagram. Didn't have the tiki-taki.
It's like you were you slept, you wallowed in filth, you killed each other, or like you like were peeing and pooping.
So you guys, I'm sure they snuck in some sex every now and then.
Oh God, I always thought that knowing how few times a year they bathed and shit in like the medieval times. Could you imagine what sex smelled like?
Funny you should mention that. I was listening to a podcast.
Yeah,
and they were covering this topic, and it wouldn't be as bad as you think because it's just the way it is. What you are looking at it or smelling it, thinking of it in the terms of today. If everybody smelled like that, you smelled like that, everybody smelled like that, there was a stench in the air, if you will.
a stank.
You wouldn't notice it.
I guess.
Just like a smoker doesn't notice he smells like smoke. But somebody that does not smoke.
Good point.
Literally can smell it 10 miles away.
But still,
and
could you imagine going
be
back
sure
in
to tell
time?
you about it.
Could you imagine going back in time and walking into that room where the fucking medieval people that haven't bathed since last year are doing the do?
My mother is drinking. We have caused my mother to drink.
I feel like it'd be like if a punter wore the same shoes for a week and then punted like a fucking bowl of miso soup and then dragged his foot through some Fritos and then like set it on fire and put it out with diarrhea. That's what it would smell like.
Well, I put it in terms of this. You played football, and did you ever wrestle or anything? You just played football.
But I didn't.
It is common practice in any level, except for you get to the pros because it's unlimited money. But high school.
Wait, hold on. If we're going where I think you're going here, that's just boys being boys.
High school.
It doesn't matter. That the sports don't matter there. That's just shenanigans between young men.
High school and college. There is a limited amount of washing going on with the practice uniforms.
You're going a different route than I thought you were with this.
But you don't really notice it. But a better example is the wrestling room. I wrestled for a short time. I retired rather early in my wrestling career.
With your emotional stability?
Yeah. But if somebody walks into a wrestling room during practice or immediately after practice, you will literally pass out from the stench in that room of a bunch of grizzly bears freaking sweating and shitting themselves, and it's horrible.
Now we're talking more life experience.
But if you are actually
It's getting more real now.
If you're a wrestler who
Ow.
is partaking in said practice, you don't notice the stench because you're in it.
Okay.
You're knee deep in it. But if somebody walks in out of the blue, it will take your breath away.
Take my breath away.
All right.
And then just a montage cut of 3 quick wrestling slams.
Speaking of wrestling, I did watch Vision Quest.
What?
Vision Quest? You ever watch that
No.
movie? You've never seen Vision Quest with Matthew Bodine?
Matthew, you are having another stroke.
Matthew was it Bodine or
Bodine?
yeah, whatever.
Isn't that
It's a wrestling movie, high school wrestler, where he drops all the way to wrestle the undefeated monster at 145 or 165. And the actor, it's great casting because the actor who played the 165-pound wrestler looked like he was about 230, jacked to shit.
Well, I'm sure he was also supposed to be 16, but he was a 40-year-old man.
Yes, pretty much.
This is fucking. See, this is
never
this
seen
is.
this movie.
I may have. I don't know.
Oh,
Probably
it's
not.
very inspirational.
The best wrestling movies are Ready to Rumble
No,
and All in the Family. Is that the name of the fucking?
about
Paige?
Paige, yeah. No, I'm talking. It's a legitimate wrestling high school wrestler, and it's got what's his name that played in 16 Candles. What's
John Cusack?
no the
Was that John Cusack?
the hunky guy? No, was it? You remember?
I think I've seen 16 Candles like once.
You remember the hot guy, apparently, the preppy hot guy. Well, I forget his name, but he played in
Richard Gere.
No, well, he didn't act.
John Stamos.
I think he quit acting after 16 Candles. He disappeared, but he was in Vision Quest. He played Cooch.
What a choice! That's what you went to. That's the door you sank on. Rose was that movie.
Well, hey,
Yeah, I've cemented myself
did you
in
ever see
the
Central
acting
Intelligence
annals.
with The Rock and Kevin
Yeah.
Hart? Okay, at the end of the movie when The Rock's standing there, because The Rock in that movie is always mentioning 16 Candles, and he's standing there outside the car.
I'm still not gonna know who it is. I can already tell you. I don't.
That's a scene from that end of Central Intelligence is a scene.
I've seen 16 Candles.
It's the ending scene of 16 Candles where no, that's
I don't fucking
that's
know, man.
not.
I've also only seen
That
Central
was
Intelligence
Cusack
once.
in a different movie.
Oh yes, it was. That was fucking
I forget.
The Breakfast Club. I'm just kidding.
No, that's not. Anyway, but Vision Quest, great fucking movie. Amazing.
I'll take your word for it.
It's on YouTube. I watch it on YouTube.
I don't know. You trailed off. You had me at sweaty, rolling around stink. But once you started to tie in storylines and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's get. Apparently, there's a drinking party going on in the chat. How about that? I thought you were going to drink this episode.
Turn me with a good time, you son of a bitch.
We're going to take.
Don't you fucking call me out like that, you son of a bitch.
I would drink with you, but I had a stroke. And the blood thinners that I'm on will not allow me to drink for right now. I could actually drink, but I'm not going to. I'm being a good boy. Anyway, so the moon landing. And why have human beings been so fascinated with the moon? So, now, Project... Oh, you're going to... What are you fucking getting a Coke for? Don't mix that shit. Just drink it out of the bottle like a man.
Ew. I've never had this, but from what I understand, you do not want to just drink it out of the bottle. It is much better when you put it in something that. God.
All right. Okay. Project Apollo was the third U.S. human spaceflight program carried out by NASA. It proposed to. Its whole mission was to prepare and land the first humans on the moon. The program technically ran from 1961 till 1972. Now, for those of you people who say, well, no, that can't be right, it overlapped with Project Gemini. And even the first Project Mercury and Gemini, the first two programs, Mercury and Gemini, it all was building up to the Apollo missions. So the Apollo missions, actually, they started kind of working on it, doing the math. Nasty, huh? In 1961.
It's not my favorite.
And that, like I said, it ran until 1972 with the last of the moon landings.
The last of the moon landings? There's only been one.
I think the last moon landing.
Man.
No, there were several. There were like 5 moon landings. 14.
Manned?
Yes. Jesus Christ. Once, like I said earlier in this podcast, the public education system is ruined.
Well, also, why does it matter?
We went back 5 times, I think.
Okay, so we spent millions of dollars for no reason. Because what did we learn?
For science. Hey, we got Tang.
I mean, really, we can culminate this episode just with that statement.
I don't know exactly. I think there was either 4 or 5 actual missions to the moon. Or maybe it was supposed to be 5. Naturally, Apollo 13 did not make it.
Still not very
because
good.
Tom Hanks fucked up. But yeah, the last moon mission, they landed. It took off. It landed. I was 2 weeks old when they splashed back down, I think. I might have covered that. Yeah, actually.
I remember watching it on TV at 2 weeks old.
Yes, the last moon. I'll cover it in a minute. It's very, very interesting. The first crewed flight. Oh shit. Was in 1968. However, in 1967, Jesus Christ,
dude, are you sure you don't need to get those fucking speech pathologies from that stroke you had?
They might have released me a little too early. However, in 1967, the program experienced a tragic setback when the Apollo 1 cabin caught fire and killed all 3 astronauts.
Metal as fuck. Terrible.
Apparently, there was some kind of spark with high oxygen levels.
High octane.
Boom. Now, there are some conspiracy theorists that believe some of these moon deniers that say the Apollo missions were all hoax. I believe Gus Grissom was the veteran astronaut because he's actually from Gemini. Or I believe he was a part of the original. I think it was Gemini missions that just shot him up and brought him back down with John Glenn and all that. There are some moon hoaxers believe Gus Grissom was kind of not going along with the program and was not happy about lying to the public about we weren't going to the moon. It was all a hoax. So they.
What was it? What was that name?
Gus Grissom.
Could it be Grisham, and is he related to John?
I do not believe so.
Or that's Gresham, I think.
I do not believe so.
Fuck. Born Identity, all that shit, I think.
I do not think that was him.
The book?
I don't think that was him.
Was it not?
I don't know.
No, that was Tom Clancy, I think. I don't know. I don't read books. I don't even know what we're talking about. I don't even know how to read.
I don't think it was Tom Clancy either. Tom Clancy was Hunt for Red October.
That one I've read. That one had pictures.
No, that's actually a really good book. It's about that fucking thick.
That's right. You're right. I read Red Fish to Blue Fish.
Okay. Dr. Seuss. Anyway.
Canceled.
But the astronauts of Apollo 1 did Apollo 1 did die in a fire, which is in a great scene in Armageddon. Where
now Armageddon should get it. Everybody in Armageddon should get an Oscar every year.
I agree.
That's the best film ever made.
I'm not arguing that fact.
Wizard of Oz can suck it.
Wizard of Oz was stupid as hell.
It was all just things she had inside her the whole time.
It was just an acid trip. That's all it was.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Never seen it.
Really?
No, I'm not a big. Was that Nicolas Cage?
No, that was Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was Johnny Depp and
I definitely didn't see
Benicio
it.
del Toro.
Definitely didn't see it.
What? It's about that one author, that one journalist that used to do all the drugs, Hunter something.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley?
Sure. Was that his name?
No, that's Triple H.
Oh, I don't fucking know. But yeah, that fucking guy, he did a bunch of drugs. Like, I've seen videos of him. Like, he would wake up, drink a pot of coffee, and then do like 2 lines of cocaine, and then smoke some weed, and then like do mescaline, and then like get into a gunfight with his neighbor in the middle of nowhere. It was fucking insane. They made a movie about him, and Johnny Depp played him.
I'm not a big Johnny Depp fan.
I think his best work was The Trials.
Well, that was some great acting. And that was the best acting and a perfect example of the shittiest acting of all time. With her. But anyway, okay. The last Apollo mission was on December 19th, 1972. So, yes, we went to the moon more than once, Travis.
Still doesn't matter.
We had to collect all the moon rocks.
Exactly. We've gained nothing from it.
I think we found the Nazis on the moon. I mean, come on. They found.
Are we going to get into that?
I will kind of dick around with that a little bit and make fun of that.
What if the Nazis are on the moon?
They're on the moon, Antarctica, and Argentina. Okay.
Or maybe they're just, it was a childhood, or, well, I guess, never mind. Wrong time period. If this happened in the 80s, I'd say it was like a childhood dream, and they just went there so that Ozzy Osbourne would finally bark at them.
Yes. At the moon. Yes. Great song.
But bark at the moon. We're definitely getting copyright striked. I've sang like 4 different songs.
Yeah, but not enough.
And also, that would involve YouTube knowing that we exist.
They do not know we exist. There's only 5 people that know this YouTube channel exists.
We're the Sarah McLachlan puppy of YouTube channels.
Speaking of that, I hate those fucking commercials.
We are tangenting hard, and I'm okay with it.
I hate those commercials. I was watching something this weekend, and those commercials came on every commercial break. You know, of the dogs in the snow shivering. I'm like,
yes,
assholes, the dog's cold.
Could you imagine
Put down the fucking camera.
You know, if they really want to affect the world and make a difference, they should pay to have those ads played on like Pornhub videos. Everybody'd see them then. If you get them on TV and on Pornhub, every human being will see it.
I do not watch Pornhub. I do not know what you speak of. What is it? What is this? What is this porn of the hub you are talking about?
Could you imagine though?
Are you referring to porn?
Pornography.
You can get that on the internet?
Pornographatical materials.
That's on the internet? Is that
only
on the dark
only if
web?
you have dial-up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the sounds of
Where
romance.
you got to put the little CD in the disc that says AOL?
Yeah, that's the sounds of romance to a millennial.
I've never seen Pornhub. I wouldn't even know where the web address is.
I don't even know where to put a web address.
I can't even use email.
I don't even know what that is.
What is the fucking internet? You know, anyway, I won't make that joke. Okay, Apollo 11 is the one everybody knows as, and obviously Travis, that's the only one that Travis knows of, is Apollo 11.
It's the only one that fucking matters.
On July 16th, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and the long-forgotten Beatle, or astronaut of Apollo 11, Michael Collins.
Who?
Michael Collins.
Fuck that guy.
Never
heard of him.
Because, you know, he played the most important role.
He tried to tell the truth. They silenced him. He died somehow, didn't he? On re-entry.
No. They launched and started their historic journey to the surface of the moon. The crew traveled for 3 days before entering the moon's orbit. So not 13 days like that one podcast I was talking about earlier said it would take to get to the moon, or take video to get to the moon and there back. It only took 3 days to travel to the moon. July 20th, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin touched down in the Sea of Tranquility on the lunar surface.
Fuck you. That's a stupid name. Who the fuck named it that? Was there any water on that motherfucker?
No.
Was there any fluid?
No.
Then why the fuck is it the Sea of
Actually, I
Tranquility?
think there is fluid on. I think, didn't the Chinese prove that there was water in
They'd have to go there.
Under the surface.
Chinese haven't been there, have they?
Yes, they have. We'll get to that later.
Confirmed?
Not manned.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Actually, to this day, we are the
That's
only...
what I'm saying. I know that.
We are the only manned...
Suck it, China!
Right. Armstrong took his first steps on the lunar surface, or I'm sorry, it was broadcast on live TV to the world. This was where he said the famous line, "One small step for man, one giant step for mankind." They're this lucky I did not become the first man on the moon, because I would not have come up with something that eloquent.
Right.
I would have walked
you
out
and
said,
me, and we're just
"Suck it, Russia."
Yeah, it's you and me, and we're just all slow, like, fuck yeah! Can you believe a fat kid, or well, not kid, but can you believe a fat Asian guy and an old white guy that has strokes would be the first man on the moon?
I don't think I'd pass NASA's physical now.
How strict could it be?
Hey, that one guy.
They took fucking Harlan Williams and Rocket Man.
Yes. Okay, on July 24th.
They took Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, and whoever the fuck else was in that movie.
That was
Space
actually,
Cowboys.
That was actually a good fucking movie.
Who else was in that? It's Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones,
Donald Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland. Was that it?
Yeah, those are the four old guys.
They should have had fucking. You know what would have made that a perfect movie? If they had either Morgan Freeman or fucking. Fuck, what's his name? The guy from. Fucking Reservoir Dogs.
Harvey Keitel?
Yes. Just because he makes every movie better.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
He's like John Leguizamo. Movies are just better with him.
Where was I at? Okay, on July 24th.
There's a wine called Ghost in the Night, apparently.
We're suing them bitches.
They've been around since like 1923. We'd be like, fuck.
Well, so have I.
Just give us 2 bottles. It's probably not even good because it's wine.
Oh, James Garner was also in Space Cowboys too.
Almost as unimportant as the other 4 trips to the moon. Go on.
Okay, on July 24th,
Who the fuck is James Garner?
James Garner, Maverick with Jodie Foster and
Mel Gibson?
what? Oh, Rockford Files. You ever see the Rockford Files? Okay, what is that one John Ritter show where he died? He died during the year, and they had to kill him off of the show. Had Kaylee Kuko in it. Rules to Date My Teenage Daughter or something stupid like that. He was brought in because Katie Seagal played the mom, I believe. He replaced John Ritter as like her, the mother who was.
I'm just going to Google him. Go ahead.
James Garner. He's big time.
I know I'm going to know him as soon as I see
him.
him.
As soon as you see him. But where was I at? On July 24th, the boys returned to Earth and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean.
Not James Garfield.
That was the president, I believe.
Go on.
Apollo 11 effectively sealed the U.S. victory in the space race against the Soviet Union. Now, up to this point, we were very, very far behind the Soviets in the space race. They were the first to get a man up into orbit.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, they sent everything up into orbit. They sent monkeys, donkeys. What?
I was saying bye to Tyler.
Hamsters.
Are you sure Richard Gere's not in this movie?
Probably Richard Gere with a hamster up his ass. Speaking of that, I had a conversation.
Sidebar.
I was talking to a person that we were talking about,
felching,
sexy actors type and actresses. How
like sexy as in like, oh, they're a heartthrob, or sexy as in porn stars.
As in heartthrobs.
Okay.
And extremely attractive women.
John Stamos.
Yes.
Boing.
And this person mentioned Richard Gere.
Don't you act like for 1 second you wouldn't lick I Can't Believe It's Not Butter off John Stamos' abs.
No. Uncle Joey, no.
I'd snort a fucking little dollop of Daisy out of his belly button. Go ahead.
Where was I? But this person mentioned Richard Gere. I said, you are aware he likes to put gerbils up his ass, right?
And he also looks like the teacher from Arthur, the kids show. Anybody who knows. If you know, you know.
Arthur was actually.
I watched Arthur. I watched Arthur
What?
up to like high school. There's a lot of valuable lessons to be learned from Arthur.
I will admit this to our millions and millions of fans. My kids were about that. That was during my, kids' age.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch that shit with them.
Yeah, Arthur was a good show.
It was actually that was about the only cartoon in my adult years that I was like, huh.
What was the song? I just remember him doing that groovy little walk in the fucking intro.
Oh, he was pimp walking.
Fuck, what's that move? What's the song?
He was pimp walking that shit. Anyway, up to this point.
Like, you want to sing the Dragon Tales song for something. Dragon Tales, Dragon Tales.
Oh, that reminds me. Was there another?
We haven't talked about this subject for more than like 30 minutes.
We'll get to it. Fuck it. We'll go all night. We have to.
First time for everything. Boom.
If it was sex, we'd been done 50 minutes ago.
How long? We've been on for 52 minutes? Yeah. Holy balls.
Where was it? Oh, anyway. Land Before Time.
Best movie ever.
Wasn't there another dinosaur cartoon movie, or was that it?
I'm sure there was, but I don't remember it. There was We're Back.
Oh, no.
That was the one where they talked. That was one of my favorites.
Maybe it was Land Before Time that I used to have to watch.
Well, there's more than one Land Before Time.
That fucking video out.
There's like fucking a dozen Land Before Times.
What was the main
character?
The young
Littlefoot.
Okay, yeah. Land Before Time was Littlefoot.
Littlefoot the long neck and Sarah the Triceratops.
Okay, that was Land Before Time.
Petrie the
for some reason
pterosaur.
For some reason, I didn't think it was called Land Before Time. All right, but that was what I'm thinking about. All right.
Ducky the apatosaur.
Okay, Land Before Time. I was wrong.
Spike the stegosaurus.
Okay, anyway.
Chomper the sharp tooth.
Now, like I was saying before.
Fuck with my fucking childhood.
Like I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by myself with a rant. Apollo 11 effectively sealed the deal with winning the space race against the Soviet Union. Now,
suck it.
Like I said, the Soviets were way more advanced than us in the space industry.
And
the rockets were more powerful. They went up. They beat us to basically they were kicking our ass the entire game until we threw a Hail Mary pass and put Neil and Buzz on the moon. They were whooping us.
That's what the world really needs. The world really needs fucking the moon landing on a teleprompter with fucking John Madden in charge of it. And then if you see here, Neil's going to pull this lever. I don't know what the fuck that thing does. And then this thing's going to fall off and this thing's going to do a whip-de-whip-de-woo. The thing about moon landings is the first one to do it, Pat.
All right. Now, up to this point of Apollo 11, the Soviet Union has spent 500 more times of actual hours time in space.
Yeah.
Than we have. So that
they have the space station.
It wasn't there yet.
Well, I mean, like at that time they had.
Yes.
Okay.
Up to Apollo 11.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood.
At the time of Apollo 11, they have spent 500 more times hours, worth of space time, whether it be putting Sputnik up.
So they spent like 100 hours.
Right. And actually, a month before Apollo 11 launched, the Russians actually sent a probe to the moon, an unmanned probe. I believe it actually crashed.
Were the Russians the ones that sent the dog into space?
I think they did send the dog into space.
Fucking pieces of shit.
Well, I mean, Rover wanted to get in that space action.
You think that's why they call all the machines they put on Mars and shit rovers?
Rovers? Maybe. I think we're onto something here.
Do all dogs go to heaven? Boom! 90s movie.
We can just end this podcast right now.
That might actually be technically from like 89. But either way.
Yeah, but the Russians actually, 1 month before Apollo launched,
they probed the moon.
They got to. I think they actually did probe the moon because I believe
they probed the Sea of Tranquility.
Crashed. I believe it crashed. They couldn't. Something happened in it.
Into the Sea of Tranquility.
Yeah, we'll go there. Probably not, but anyway. The
Why is there like sectors of the moon? Who gives it? I'm
Well,
still wrapping my head around
they
that
name
too.
everything.
I know, but that's so dumb. Like, how do you know? Like
They look at
that crater right there is the upper left-hand corner of Tobias's satchel.
Well, it's better than just saying
That part.
B6.
Quadrant C, Zone 13. Yeah. I think that sounds way spacier than fucking Sea of Tranquility.
Now, all this success the Soviets were having in their
Ventures.
Their lead in the space race, if it was a game on us, this is part of the reason why there are so many people that believe the moon landing or Apollo 11 was hoaxed. Because we couldn't afford, we knew with them sending the probe to the moon, they were close. They were much closer than us to actually getting a man on the moon.
That sounded dirty.
Hey.
We knew when they sent the probe to the moon, they were close.
Trust me, I'm going to probe.
Does that mean that? It's like I knew when she stuck her finger in my butt. She was close.
But where was I at? Oh shit! Oh, I'm taking pictures and shit.
Oh my.
We're okay, but a lot of people think that that probing the moon's
rectum,
yes, was really what forced NASA to actually fake the moon landing, because they knew they were nowhere close.
So if they make them believe that they did it first, then they'll stop trying.
Right.
Or not, maybe stop trying so much.
Which is essentially what happened.
Mm.
The Russians, or I'm not Russians, I'm sorry. The Soviets just quit after. Well,
the Ruskies.
We lost. They took their rocket and went home. We beat them there.
Aww.
So a lot of deniers believe that this is proof of us, or NASA, faking the moon landing because we had to beat them there by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said in the beginning, I'm not a moon denier. I believe we walked on the moon.
I agree.
There is some weird stuff about Apollo 11, just so you guys know. So stick around a little bit longer.
Is the moon flat?
No. Now, people often believe, or people think that moon hoaxers, there's a lot of trains rolling through this.
Is that a train?
Either that or fucking aliens are coming.
Sounds like a highway.
Neil Armstrong is coming down from heaven, because all moonwalkers go to heaven, even if you did a little boys. I get it. Michael Jackson moonwalk. They can't all be bangers. I'm sorry. What are you doing? Anyway, now get your ass back here. Now, but most people think that people believing that we faked the moon landings is a common conspiracy, or a modern conspiracy. It's, people of our generation, or even your generation, the millennials, and believe that we didn't go to the moon, or the flat earthers believe we didn't go to the moon. God. We'll get into flat earthers later. But actually, this is not true. There were deniers from the very beginning, before we even launched Apollo 11. People believed we couldn't get. There's no way we could get there.
I mean, especially back then, yeah, I'm not surprised there was.
So
they're like, we don't even have computers in schools. You dumb idiots are gonna go to the moon. Shut your mouth. You shut your stupid mouth.
We'll cover some of that too. Where was I at? So this could be the greatest conspiracy of all time.
Shut your mouth, Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn or John Glenn?
John Glenn. You just be upset with your performance at work and go home and be emotionally unavailable, like, for your family, just like all the rest of the 60s dads. Fuck out of my face. Somewhere in the world, fucking John Glenn's son is like, he could find his way to the moon, but he couldn't find his way to understanding me.
Right.
Punch.
The most interesting and craziest thing I love about the moon landing hoax
moon units in the chat
is many believe that NASA hired Stanley Kubrick, or how do you say it?
Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick.
Kubrick. I can't speak. I don't.
Kubrick.
That's like Kubrick.
Just imagine.
Whatever.
You're saying the last name of a Lithuanian basketball player who's 7 feet tall because he can shoot 3-pointers really
The
well.
director
Kubrick.
of fucking The Shining, whatever his fucking name is, and Eyes Wide Shut, which I've seen it 3
So
times.
wait, no. Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick. Yeah.
Kubrick. He had a stroke.
No, I'm just a moron.
Kubrick. Like a baby. Brick like house.
That's just a silly fucking name. Anyway,
Not everybody has 2 first names.
who has 2 first?
You. Your one's just plural for some reason.
There's no apostrophe in it anywhere, so
What?
it's not apostrophe S. It's just S.
Yeah, plural. Apostrophe S is possessive.
Well, there's not 2 of me, so it's plural doesn't make sense either.
But your last name is pluralized.
But I'm not 2 people, so I don't have multiple personalities.
I'm really starting to question them letting you out of this stroke unit at the hospital at this point. Stanley Kubrick, go on.
They believe they hired his ass since he made a great movie. What was it, 2001: Space Odyssey, which predated the Apollo 11.
He did make that, didn't he?
Yes.
So I never read that far into the Stanley Kubrick thing because
It's kind of silly.
I think so.
But they hired his ass because
Well,
they were really impressed with 2001: Space Odyssey. He said, "Damn, that looks pretty good."
Let's be real. If they could, they would have got Spielberg
I don't.
or Scorsese. Could you imagine a Scorsese moon landing? They'd be like, somebody just shoots somebody, and they're like, "That's what you get for pooping in my space stall, you Mama Luke."
Now, a lot of people think that The Shining was his apology for, essentially making the moon landing or the moon walks. They say he was in charge of actually filming, producing, directing, and shooting the actual astronauts on the moon.
And the scene with, what is his name, Charlie, and the twin girls on the fucking tricycles is a physical manifestation and representation of him. He is Stanley Kubrick as Charlie trying to do the right thing and be a good kid. And the 2 bitches at the end of the hallway are the government and then the yes men. They're just inundating him. Come play with us, Charlie. Fuck you, bitches.
I mean, there's
Ride
actually
your squeaky ass tricycles on somewhere else. Fuck you.
there's actually a documentary about this whole thing.
Did Stanley Kubrick direct it?
No,
Fuck.
some douchebag did.
That'd be great.
I don't know. He might not be a douchebag.
Is it on the same level of documentary as that Canadian Bigfoot guy?
I don't know. I've never seen it. The moon landing one or the Shining one.
You never seen The Shining?
I've seen The Shining, but the documentary. I'm talking about the fucking
okay.
documentary. I've seen The Shining 1,000 times.
Unfortunately, it's not that good.
But it all stems around the kid. What's the kid's name though?
I think it's Charlie, isn't it?
Is it Charlie? Well, Johnny's. Yeah, Johnny's. What's his
Sweep the leg.
name? No, whatever.
That's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
I think it's Charlie.
But the kid's wearing a NASA shirt, and there's some other stretches the guy makes.
Isn't
Apparently,
there like the print of the carpet in one of the fucking scenes?
in the room. What's the famous room number? The room number.
Oh, I don't know.
I forget what the room number, but it has something to do.
I haven't seen The Shining.
They take a
fucking
lot of
forever.
leaps. They're connecting some fine ass dots.
As is tradition with
Right.
conspiracy.
I mean-
and that's coming from somebody who, like, I buy into several conspiracy theories 100%. But, like, there's a lot of bullshit to them.
Well, I'll kind of cover this whole part of it. I'm not 100% convinced. Maybe he did shoot him. Maybe he did film some of that shit. But I think connecting The Shining to it is a bit much. I think Eyes Wide Shut is a better connection to the moon landing because I still don't understand that fucking movie.
There's a lot of movies I don't understand. Pulp Fiction. Like, Pulp Fiction was a great movie and I love it, but, like, what's the point?
That is true.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Most Tarantino movies are like that, except maybe Django Unchained. I'd say Django Unchained is the only one that kind of has a meaning to it. Don't be racist, or Jamie Foxx will kill you.
Hold on. Where are we at here? We're going to have to speed this bitch up. Where am I at?
Fast forward.
Okay. Here we go. Moon deniers have been confronting astronauts for years.
I think I know where this is going.
In 2002, a gentleman by the name of Bart Sybil, let's call him Sybil,
Bart. Just call him Bart.
arranged to meet under false pretense outside the Luxor Hotel in Beverly Hills, Mr. Buzz Aldrin. And this Bart guy
pound for pound champ, 90 plus.
He actually was a filmmaker. He made the documentary A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon.
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
I've heard of it too. I've always wanted to see it, but I've really not been that interested until now.
I've always wanted to see it, but I've never been that interested.
This wasn't enough to make me fucking just
So
go look
basically
for
what
it.
you're saying is I've always wanted to see it since Tuesday.
I've heard of it. I've wanted to check it out, but when I've been looking for movies, it's never popped to the surface of my
I've been trying to watch
stroke-ridden
Son-in-Law
brain.
for 3 days.
But anyway, he met Buzz.
Blaming the stroke brain, huh?
He met Buzz outside this hotel, and the interaction ended very poorly. He kept on calling Buzz a liar, even called him a coward like three
I think
times.
that's what triggered this,
Well,
what you're about to talk about.
He called him a coward once, called him a coward twice, and on the third coward, before he could get the RD out, Buzz layeth the smack down.
That's legal in the state of Texas. You call a man a coward 2 times, that's
All
grounds for felonious assault.
All bets are off on the third. But, I mean, for an 80-year-old man, Buzz packed a punch. Now,
the sound of that is so good.
Did
you really digest the sound of that guy getting knocked on his ass by Buzz Aldrin? Oof. It was great. It was like a Jerry Springer episode, but with a 90-year-old man.
I mean, how embarrassing would it be to get your ass handed to you by an 80-year-old?
No, that man was an astronaut.
He's an 80-year-old astronaut.
Have you never been 7? As soon as you're an astronaut, you're a superhero. Just like firefighters.
No, I'm telling you. That's like me. It'd be embarrassing for you if I knocked you out. I'm a 50-year-old broken back stroke victim. That'd be embarrassing for you.
Stroke victim. You had a stroke. I can't believe you had a fucking stroke. It's so crazy.
I broke the curse.
Well, this guy got.
I will tell you the 2-year curse after the show.
I don't know, but this guy fucking got stroked by Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, he got stroked big time. But fortunately, when you get the smack down laid on you
By a public figure
that's 80 years old, who is Buzz still alive?
Probably not. If he was 80 in 02.
I don't know. Anybody in the chat, let me know when if he died. He died recently. If he died, why don't you Google it? You got fucking Google.
Oh, well, this is your episode.
Well, Google that shit for me. But he did not press charges on old Buzzy Boy. So there was no charges filed. He was embarrassed, and that was pretty much the end of it. Now, if these
Buzz Aldrin is still alive.
how old is that son?
93.
Fuck.
That's what I'm saying. He's a fucking astronaut. Hold on.
What?
Edwin Eugene Aldrin Jr.
Well, anybody named Eugene?
Other names. Dr. Rendezvous.
Did he do porn? Is he on porn?
Was he a gigolo?
Were they doing porn on the moon?
Moon porn? I might actually pay for a membership for that. I don't know. That's interesting. Damn, that motherfucker got married 4 times. He got married this year.
Who would marry a 93-year-old?
Anka V. Fowler.
When I'm 93, I'm not getting married. When I'm 93, the only thing I'm marrying, if
What
I'm
the
still alive
fuck?
at 93, what?
Keep going. Wait till I get to like her
but
Wikipedia or some shit.
If I make it to 93, the only thing I'm going to have a close, intimate relationship with is a Smith & Wesson.
She's a doctor. Good for her.
Or what, proctology?
I'm trying to find out her fucking age. Oh, she was born in 59. Like, she's not, like, she's 63. She's not, like, there's a 30-year difference, but she's not, like, young.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. How much money...
excuse me.
How much money is in being a...
Why is Buzz Aldrin worth $14 million fucking dollars?
I guess...
What the fuck?
Maybe that movie business paid off, faking the moon landing. Fuck, I don't know.
What the fuck? Buzz Aldrin did one thing 70 fucking years ago, and he's worth $14 million fucking dollars. We can't make $15.75 off this goddamn show.
Hey, we made $10 last month off this show. Damn it.
Whoop-de-doo. It costs more than that to fucking run the lights for the goddamn thing.
That one fry in the hospital cost more than $10.
Oh god, it's awful. That food actually looked pretty decent for middle of the hood elementary school lunch.
That wasn't bad. Could have used a little salt. Or am I getting a lot of salt?
Oh,
and then what really pissed me off was that shot of Coca-Cola they gave me.
Again, I said it when I was sitting there with you in the hospital. At least it wasn't Shasta.
It was literally an 8-ounce can.
I don't even think it was 8.
I should have saved it. That's just
you can get them at Walmart.
That's just enough to piss me off. That was probably $32.
Right? Jesus
anyway,
fuck.
Okay, if
you'd been better off just having me sneak you stuff in.
Yes.
Which we also did.
Jesus Christ, static.
God, you made a fucking Velcro?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
When I went to the store, I wore that coat. If these moon landing deniers are correct, see how I...
That segue was fucking legendary.
We're trained non-professionals up in this bitch. If these moon landing deniers are correct, this would mean that NASA was able to pull off the biggest, and I mean biggest, hoax of all time, and keep it secret for 53 plus years. Now, the crazy thing about this is at the peak of the Apollo missions, NASA employed approximately 400,000 employees between employees and subcontractors. 400,000 people.
To get to the moon?
Yes, that's how many people were on the payroll of NASA.
Well, think about it. They were basically going to the moon with, like, typewriters.
Yes.
It takes a lot of man hours.
That is true.
I would imagine they probably had, like, 1,300, like, Peruvian immigrants underground pedaling stationary bikes to power the fucking control center.
Now, earlier I mentioned that the moon deniers isn't modern. It happened from the beginning.
I was really hoping you were going to do this and go, we'll get to the Peruvian immigrants.
I'll get to them bastards soon.
Jeez.
I say it with love. I didn't want to
fucking pieces of shit.
Okay. There was a gentleman by the name of Bill Casings. He never believed the Apollo missions took place.
He sounds like he doesn't believe the Apollo missions took place.
And he doesn't even think there was no man in the rockets as they went up.
It was women, because the future's female.
Yes. Something like that, but different. Where was I at?
There's no men in the capsules.
Okay, yes. But Casing just wasn't some, crackpot. He was the head of technical publications for Rocketdyne. Rocketdyne was a company that helped NASA manufacture the Saturn rockets.
Okay, so Tony Stark.
Well, is that you or me? The PR. Basically, he was the PR department, Tony Stark. Sounds like to me. Casings claimed he had access to top secret documents through his work at Rocketdyne.
Right, what a stupid fucking name for a business. Go on.
Because of this knowledge and access, he questioned.
That's the name of the company in Office Space 2. Back to Space.
Did you hear? We're going off it. A fucking Back to the Future 4.
Are they gonna fucking have Michael J. Fox in it?
Yes.
Why?
He was in the trailer. And Doc Brown.
In Focus?
Yes. And the sad thing is, I don't know if this is real or this is like a deep fake or something. But Marty McFly looks older than Doc Brown now.
Well,
And a little shakier.
I was gonna say, like, the whole idea for this fourth movie is shaky. First
Yes.
off,
Where was I at? Okay, I got that. Jesus Christ. Now,
you know what Michael J. Fox's wife will never have to buy again?
What?
Vibrator.
you
You
shake enough, you'll find that G spot. You're just going to hit it. Eventually, you have to hit it.
God.
Okay.
You imagine what it's like to walk in and have him be like holding a
You know
fucking
what? If
butcher
you have-
knife when you come home from school, and he's like, "I'm making spaghetti."
I this is probably mean.
This is not funny.
This is not
This is
funny.
mean.
And I'm probably going to end up with Parkinson's because of my stroke.
Strokinsons.
Yes. It would make jacking off a lot easier.
Oh God.
Okay.
Dude, you mix the two ailments together. You have Parkinson's and a stroke. You can do the stranger with Parkinson's.
There you go.
It'd be like a vibrating hand.
Hey, my hand is back.
Is it like 100%? Somebody was asking me about that the other day.
This finger's still a little off.
Fingers
This,
still a little
this
off.
finger, my index finger is a little off, but everything else is good.
It makes me think of, have you ever seen Dinner for Schmucks,
Right.
the movie?
Well, let's just say I'm not going to find the G spot with this finger. This one I might have a shot.
There's a scene from Dinner for Schmucks where like an eagle or a vulture or some shit bites off a dude's finger, and he's like, "Oh no, that was my wife's favorite finger," and I feel like I'm the only person that at the time got it.
I can't believe
It's not butter.
You are a bad influence on me. I'm doing this on a podcast, talking about finding the G spot, and my mother's in the fucking audience.
That's like the 36th time that we said G-spot on this show. She knew what it was. She birthed you.
Anyway, where was I at?
She owes you listening to this for all those years of not, like, she should, I don't know.
Okay.
Something
Okay.
with Butterfingers.
Casey's claim that with all this top secret information he had through Rocketdyne,
Such a bad fucking name for a company. Rocketdyne.
he
Come work at Rocketdyne. We have free lunch.
he basically questions the ability of the Apollo missions to make it to the moon. Basically saying they didn't have the technology to make it there, which is a legitimate. It's legitimate.
He's getting interviewed in the 80s on TV, and he's just like throwing like fucking planted pots around or potted plants across the studio. And he's like, these motherfuckers didn't even have fucking electric calculators yet. How the fuck would they go to the moon?
Oh shit, well, really fucked up. Oh, okay. He believed and stated that the astronauts weren't actually in the command module at the time of takeoff, basically because everybody gets the picture of them going up the elevator,
Yeah.
crawling in. But he basically said there was a switcheroo and they just came right back down the
Like
elevator.
that fucking Magician's Magic or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck show back in the 90s
Oh,
when they
yeah.
would show you how to
The
do the disappearing
revealed.
elephant and shit.
Yeah.
And the guy just looked like a fucking, like a melted Three Ninjas character.
Yes. They had some mirrors and,
They're like, this is how Chris Angel makes you look like a fucking idiot.
he believed, like I said, they weren't actually in the command module. NASA just made it look like they entered, and they launched an empty capsule into space. Now, and he basically says NASA did this because, what the fuck are we laughing at now?
No, I'll just see it like they're like, all right, launch the dud, and it's just flying, and then they just sit there for like 2.5 hours with like beers watching it go. And just fuck it, they just literally launched it into the moon, and they're like, hell yeah.
Casey basically believed, he felt this way from what he read and what he knew about NASA. NASA didn't trust the Saturn rocket. And they didn't want to risk the lives of the astronauts.
Was Mercury in retrograde? I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna lie. I see it all over Instagram and shit, and I'm like, ha 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 ha. I don't know what that
I
means.
know nothing about astrology, so I do not.
Mercury's in the microwave again.
Damn it. I hope it doesn't have tinfoil on it.
It's metal. Mercury is metal.
Oh, that's right. It is.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
It's
it is.
liquid metal.
Well,
Like the fucking Sirius XM channel back in the day.
Casey was very. I'm just keeping moving. Casey was very vocal about this, and he claims the CIA tried to shut him up on 3 different attempts. In other
They
words,
tried to kill him?
they made 3 attempts on his life.
Fuck yeah. No, I mean, no. Boo.
Now, there was a British publisher of Nexus, I guess it was a technical magazine, named Marcus Allen, not the Raiders running back. This magazine was basically devoted to alternative thoughts on politics and science.
Fucking fantastic.
He felt NASA wasn't as sound as they claimed. And NASA basically didn't have the brains to go to the moon.
No way. A fucking government agency wasn't really about what they were talking about? No way.
Basically was saying NASA weren't the smartest motherfuckers on the planet. They've pretty much had a podcast. They're about as smart as me.
Because you meant like you and I as fucking working for NASA. I can't get the rear right side thruster to work. Hit it with that there ball peen hammer with electrical tape wrapped around the handle.
If we worked for NASA, we'd be like the Russian on Armageddon.
If we worked for NASA, we would have got to Pluto by now.
This is how you fix things in the Russian space program.
He says, it worked.
It worked.
What was his name? Lev?
Lev, yeah.
God, talk about a man that got typecasted.
In everything. And I don't
For his whole
he's not
career.
Russian.
If there's going to be a fucking reboot of the original fucking Die Hard, he will play Hans Zimmer or whatever the fuck the guy's name is.
But basically, Marcus Allen here, the British publisher, said NASA was full of a bunch of morons. So the movie Hidden Figures lied to us.
Never seen it.
That's actually a pretty good movie. Kevin Costner.
That's it.
No,
it's a pretty good movie. Kevin
got,
Costner.
It's got Sheldon's in it.
Sheldon
From
like,
Big Bang Theory.
Oh, so it's new.
And
I figured this was from like the 70s.
No, it's 2016, 17. It's about the what they called mathematicians for NASA. They called them computers because it was before computers. They would do all the calculations, and there was a group that were African American.
Oh, I've never seen it, but I know the movie.
That's actually a pretty good fucking movie.
Doesn't it have Taraji P. Henson?
Yes,
in it
she
too?
plays the main character in it.
Yes, it's lady math people.
Yes,
lady math.
lady math people. That is a technical. I think it was on her business card.
Lady math magicians.
Oh God, but it's actually a pretty good movie.
They were like magic girls. Was Beyonce in it?
No. I would have paid more attention.
No, Taraji P. Henson is fucking phenomenal. What are you talking about?
She's a little weird though. I mean, she's a little out there though. Phenomenal actress. Some of her.
She's really out there. Moon joke.
But actually, that movie was during the, I believe, the Mercury missions. Or, yes.
Freddie Mercury?
Just orbiting. Mercury was just orbiting because John Glenn was in the Mercury program when he orbited the Earth. So I believe that was a Mercury program. So it was a little predated the Apollo missions, but that's beside the point.
Either way, I don't give a fuck. Any human being that says, yeah, no, I used a number 2 pencil and I did the mathematics to get people into space.
Yes, but this Marcus Allen character, not the running back for the Oakland Raiders.
Can I steal that charger?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thanks.
How's that alcohol, by the way? Nasty as fuck?
I feel like it could have a better...
it's not American honey, right?
I feel like it could have a better delivery system than what I provided it.
Coke Zero?
I mean, I figured, fuck it, like Seagram's and Coke, right? But maybe Sprite? I don't know.
Anyway, but Marcus...
I'll put it in a fucking energy drink next time. Whoa.
That's all we need. You a little bit more caffeinated. This Marcus Allen character went on the record as saying the entire Apollo missions were fabricated just for the sole purpose to win the Cold War in the space race. That's the only thing it was for.
Well, that's not that far-fetched because it's not even if it's not fabricated, that was the purpose of going to the moon anyway, basically.
Right.
Like, They could be like, we did it for science. No, the fuck you didn't, Gerald. You went there so you could be like, hey, Ruski.
There was a lot of reasons
Fuck you.
to win the space.
You cabbage-headed, borscht-eating motherfuckers.
To win the space race, but also to fulfill the promise of a dead president.
That was a good movie.
What?
Dead Presidents.
I've never seen it.
Really? You actually should. It has nothing to do with the space race. Like it's a good movie and you should see it. It's got Chris Tucker in it.
Oh.
And an old black guy that you would know. I can't remember which one it is. Actually, I think Terrence Howard's in that too.
Okay, we're an hour and a half into it. Now let's get into what we got to bring this home. We got to wrap this shit up.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's a quick downward spiral.
Yeah,
from there.
because we're going to cover what the hoaxers, the proof that these people use as really.
What? It's a hoax. It's all a hoax.
Okay, we're going.
Excuse me while I sit here nonchalantly and intelligently. And
right off screen. Okay. Most of the moon deniers or moon believers or the hoax believers, whatever.
The believers?
The believers of the hoax point to photographs. Now, deniers claim that all 5,771 photos were a complete lie to trick the world that the U.S. and NASA and Mr. Neil Armstrong and the rest of the astronauts that were fortunate enough to walk on the moon were full of shit.
This is both kind of funny to me and also kind of a legitimate question.
In a few minutes, everything's going to be funny to you.
How long does it take to take 571 photos back then? Was that the number?
Click.
That's what I'm saying. Like 571. How many fucking cameras do they have?
I think every astronaut had cameras mounted on.
Okay, but how long were they on the surface of the moon?
Depends. I think I don't quote me on this, but I think Buzz and old Neil were only on for a couple hours, and they had to.
Oh yeah, you could.
They had to.
That's not that.
Now I don't know about the other missions. I think they probably stayed a little bit.
I'm
longer.
over here just kind of thinking like, it's the '60s, so it's like they didn't even have helmets. They just like and held their breath and ran outside.
We'll get to the moon rocks. We'll get to the moon rocks. But we're just covering some of the big shit right now. Now, they point to the big thing, or they point to shadows, which I will say, some of the pictures that I've seen, it does look like there might be two light sources, which on the moon, there theoretically should only be one, the sun. Now, a lot...
The sun.
I did that for dramatic effect.
Okay.
Now, some of these deniers believe that just because their angles are off a little bit proves that there are two light sources, because all the lines should be parallel. But that you have to look with the camera lens, perspective. Things could appear to be angled just a bit.
And it's the fucking moon.
Right. But I've seen some pictures where we're talking two different objects, like say an astronaut was standing here and the shadow was behind him. You could see the shadow. Then there was another object over here with the shadow running parallel.
Like John Glenn's black in one of them.
Where it wasn't just a slight angle. I mean, we're talking 90 degrees apart.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those photos.
Which makes it interesting and could be two light sources, which would go to the hoaxing. However, what these people fail to realize, the moon surface is very reflective. The lunar module, basically tinfoil, which, have you ever seen tinfoil? Very reflective. So
it looks like it was made out of aluminum chafing dishes.
Right. So with those different reflective surfaces, that could just be a shadow from the reflection off another. So it's not 100%. I can see why people will say, well, there's two different light sources. Technically, it looks like there is, but one's probably just a reflection.
And I also feel like somebody could totally just like Photoshop that
Right.
now.
Well,
And if we can do it now, NASA could probably do it back then.
we'll kind of give our opinions a little bit when I get to the end. But I think the photographic evidence is very interesting. Now, there are some pictures. You've seen the pictures with the crosshairs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, those were done, as I forget what the technical scientific photography, whatever reason for it is. But I guess it's for
sighting in.
Right. Something to that effect. But those should always be on top. They were put in after the fact, essentially. So they should always be on
top of the image itself.
Right. And on some of the photos, either a rock or the lunar module or something was blocking out half of it. So it was like that object was added later. It was photoshopped. The dog's hungry, but that's okay. Shh. Princess is going to have to wait a minute.
Dog eats better than I do.
I know. So that is very interesting. Now, when we get to the end and I kind of give my opinion, I think I have a reason for this. Jesus Christ. But anyway.
Do you want me to feed her while you're talking?
Yeah, go ahead. Just don't knock over the camera when you walk by.
I can't make any promises.
Okay. Now, like I said, the photographic is interesting. I don't think it's definitive proof of a hoax, but it does make things interesting. I think what is a bigger red flag when it comes to the reasons why they hoaxed it is the Van Allen radiation belt. Now, this is an area around the Earth from the magnetosphere of high radiation, basically, that astronauts would have to travel through to get to the moon. And there, like I said, high radiation. Is it possible to travel through that safely in the craft, in the suits that they were wearing in 1969? That is the question. Now, there are some people believe we don't have the technology to do that, and we still don't have the technology to do that. I've seen interviews with, of modern time engineers from NASA saying I've heard them say we can't get through the radiation belt, or we forgot how to get through it.
You know why?
Why?
It's because they're a bunch of pussy millennials and they don't want to do it the old hard way.
That is true. But
you got to go up space both ways in the snow.
Now, there are deniers will say you'd have to encase the ship in lead or water, and it would just be too heavy for the
lead. So just have China build it.
Probably. They couldn't launch a spacecraft that is properly protected from the Van Allen radiation belt. They didn't have a big enough rocket to launch that heavy of an object up or get it out of our atmosphere. Valid point, I believe.
Yeah, to make a rocket ship out of lead, I feel like would
be a bit much.
Like 1 or 2 extra kilos.
So this is very interesting. How did we get through the Van Allen radiation belt? Very interesting, without causing long-term damage. Because if that was really an issue, would Buzz Aldrin live to be 93 years old? You'd think he'd have some issues by now.
3 arms.
Right. Now, NASA will say they found there's weaker points in the belt, and they sped up through it, and they went through a weak point, and they were only in danger for 4 hours. But it was not like it. They weren't getting.
It's 4 hours. It's just 4 hours of radiation. No big deal.
It wasn't like they were getting bombarded by a solar flare. It was more of almost like getting an X-ray for 4 hours. Yes, it wasn't good for you, but it wasn't fatal like the deniers or hoaxers say.
Right.
So they could do it They could possibly get through it in a reasonably safe manner.
Fair enough.
But that is interesting. And I'm going to come back to the Van Allen radiation belt a little bit, because I think that it explains some of the questionable photos and shit like that, in my opinion. Now, other conspiracy theorists talk about the video of astronauts walking on the moon as being proof of a hoax because they're bouncing
Looks like
around.
the fucking Teletubbies.
Yeah, they're bouncing around. The gravity on the moon is 1/6 of that of Earth. However, when NASA video footage is sped up to two times, the astronauts seem to be running at normal speed.
Yeah, isn't that kind of how that works?
Yeah.
When stuff's moves slow and then you make it faster,
It
doesn't
looks
look
like they're
closer to
running
normal?
just normal.
Yeah.
But I believe other people have tried to mimic this and kind of do it the other way, take normal and slow it down. They can't replicate it exactly the same. It doesn't really look like the footage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, other people talk about there were wires involved, and this goes back to the soundstage filming.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Neil.
Right. And that enabled them to bounce, because they do have that bouncing appearance.
Yeah, they do. They look fucking ridiculous.
Right. And
They look like Darumaka.
right.
Only people that like Pokemon will know what that means.
But even if you look at them bouncing a little bit, they still are. Who the fuck?
That was me.
Is that you? They are still
Instagram.
bending their knees and popping up. They're just not being lifted up.
They bent the knee.
Yes.
It is not.
They kiss the ring. I mean, so the mere fact that it doesn't hold up, doing it reverse to try, to mimic this slowdown, it doesn't hold up as well.
Did you hear about the Sam Smith conspiracy theory?
No.
You know who Sam Smith is?
Um,
You say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I knew what you done. Or the one that's all over TikTok. Mommy don't know daddy's
Oh, yeah.
daddy.
Oh, okay,
That
yeah.
guy?
yeah.
There's this theory that he's Adele in drag. It's like if you slow down Adele or speed up him, it sounds very similar.
Huh. Okay. I think those are the more interesting, or the more valid points, I should say, that the moon hoaxers have. Not perfect, not 100% proof that it was hoax, but it does make the conversation a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. Now let's get to the silly shit.
Yes.
Everybody wants to talk about the flag
Yeah.
because there's no atmosphere on the moon, there's no wind. But in some of the videos, it appears that the flag is waving in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That could have just... My theory on that
Okay, go ahead.
is, like, you could literally... Like, if there's no atmosphere or wind, that means that you could literally just take it out and be like... And however it, like, after you stop putting force onto it is how it stays.
Well, okay. I agree with you completely. But if you look at the frame of the flag, how they... Basically, the pole. It just wasn't... No, you're not looking at my pole.
I would hardly call it a pole.
Oh, it's like one of those little little flags.
Maybe a
in
tent stake.
that your teacher had on her desk. Stuck, yeah.
Real thin.
Yeah, real thin. Pencil-like.
Flexible. Not
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had a stroke. It doesn't do that anymore.
Hey.
Hey. But, okay, these flags that went to the moon, if you look at them, they have the pole going up the spine of the of the flag, which most even flags here on Earth have. However,
Yeah.
watch it now. Watch it, Travis. If you look at it, there is another that pole is in an L. There's a suspension pole above it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
At the top.
Like a frame, like a
Right.
framework that's not finished.
Correct. So the flag just hangs down straight. Those poles are not that sturdy. You like, if I hit that, see how that bounces?
Mm-hmm.
Same fucking thing, which is if something's underneath, it's going to cause it to move. It's called vibration. The wave, the energy travels through it. And these astronauts were wearing clunky gloves. They weren't wearing fucking little rubber CSI fucking gloves.
No, all I see is just fucking John Glenn just walking up like, take the fucking picture, Neil. I'm trying to get out of here. I got a ice cold Coors in the spaceship.
So the flag was not blowing in the breeze. In my opinion.
It was just existing in the vacuums of space.
Yes. I guess.
I like it.
Where the fuck? Okay, yeah. Now, another interesting fact, but a lot of people like to point this out, is they were not. The lunar module was so fucked up, which is what made the descent from whatever.
The descent to the surface and
Right.
the ascent from it.
That landed on the. Now, there's a lot of things with the lunar module people want to talk. Yes, it looked like it was made out of fucking aluminum foil.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you that. It looked flimsy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a third grader science project.
Yeah.
I will give you that. However,
It looked like it was made out of like those styrofoam, or not styrofoam, those survival blankets and like Jiffy Pop.
yes. Now, a lot of people make a big deal out of, apparently, what was it? Just about 4 months before Apollo 11 launched, there's a video of old Mr. Neil Armstrong flying a lunar module here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucking couldn't drive it. It was very unstable, and he crashed it. He had to eject from it. He mavericked that shit. Unfortunately, Buzz did not die and hit the canopy.
Mm.
But
shit happens.
A lot of the hoaxers say that they could never fly the lunar. They could never get it to fly because it was an awkward-looking ship. I mean, with thrusters and all that bullshit.
It wasn't. That wasn't a ship. That was a treehouse with legs.
With apparently a rock, a couple of
Right.
thrusters under it. So they use that as proof that they could never figure it out. It wouldn't fly properly. Wasn't very aerodynamic.
Not at all. It was about as aerodynamic as me.
Now, a lot of people also talk about.
And I cut through the wind like a fucking 3-pound slab of cream cheese.
A lot of people like to talk about how when it landed, it didn't make a thrust crater essentially from the rocket. When it coming down, they naturally had to fire, the thrusters.
Reverse thrusters
Yeah,
to
so it wasn't
soften
just-
the blow of the
right.
landing.
And it didn't disperse they say it didn't disperse the dust. Anyway, you look at I saw some experts analyzing the footage. They said, yeah, you can see the moon dust is disturbed. But
Scientific term.
what people are thinking of it as a rocket, like what the Saturn V was, took it off, a big flame shooting out.
Even though it was
That's
probably like compressed air.
That's what it was. It wasn't a rocket. It was compressed air. Because naturally,
I think they still use that.
right, it's not a jet engine, rocket engine. It's just compressed air to nudge things.
Yeah, it's space. You just got to slow down.
So it's not going to fire at the force of a fucking rocket. So you wouldn't have the big white billowing smoke that you see when the shit takes off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just compressed air. It's just you keyboard fucking. Buzz Aldrin was down there, had a little latch. He had one of them air nozzles.
All right, get ready to take off. Everybody strap in. He just like sticks a can of duster behind it. He's like,
Now, a big thing is the technology. This is where it gets interesting.
typewriters and calculators.
The technology of the time was not that good, apparently.
This cell phone has more computing power.
It's worse than that.
Than NASA.
It is worse than that.
Back then.
The original Nintendo Game Boy,
Mm-hmm.
when was that released? You know more about
It had to be the 80s because I had one when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
it. Had more processing power than what they had to go to the moon. An iPhone has like 1 million times more processing power than what they used to go
That's
to the
so
moon.
funny. So if we could go back in time, if we took a lightning cable with us, we could fucking send someone to the moon with
Yeah.
an app.
Yeah, but those are some of the big things that hoaxers
up.
want to grasp.
The hoaxers going hoax.
Now, I forget who. Was it Moon Unit or somebody mentioned the moon rocks? Yeah, Moon Unit. Moon rocks are a little interesting.
So like lava rock.
Well, there has been some, I believe somebody, I guess NASA, they wanted to give all these they gave dignitaries from other countries a plaque that had a moon rock on it.
I feel like that's just a flex.
Yeah, it was what it was.
Oh my God, dog.
I guess some of it had. Did you feed her?
Yeah.
Oh well, we're wrapping it up here in a minute.
Shh.
I guess. Somebody analyzed one of the moon rocks. I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't even remember where I heard it. But it was
from like Joshua Tree.
No,
California.
it was actually driftwood. It wasn't even a fucking rock.
Was it like painted?
It was just black. But it was driftwood instead. It was not.
They did land on the Sea of Tranquility.
Which at one time might have had water, and driftwood might have been left over.
Or
Very
liquid
possible.
methane, like Titan. I think it's the moon of Jupiter. Has oceans of liquid methane.
I was watching something the other day. Venus, or is it Mercury? Oh, it's Mercury, I think. It spins so fast, and somehow it rains glass
Sick.
because of I forget what it is, but the rain is solid and it's actually glass because I guess it's moving so fast and it's I don't know what maybe it's Venus. I don't know. I think it's Mercury though. Anyway, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Venus. It wasn't Mercury. It was a planet that was it was in another solar system, and it was.
How do they know that?
It was a little bit bigger than Earth, but it was so close to the sun that it orbits at like 2-day year.
So it's like one of those tilt, like
it's
those
just
things where you
winging
just
around
like
that
it
bitch.
just holds you on the
But
side.
something, whatever the atmosphere where it rains glass.
That's metal as fuck.
Yeah. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, one other thing I want to talk about, and I forgot to mention it, was the Apollo 11 press conference. And this will get back to the pictures. People talk about the Neil's, Buzz, and Michael Collins' behavior at this press conference, almost like they were hiding something.
Boners.
And it all starts off with one gentleman asked a question: what did the stars look like when you were up there? And they kind of had some weird. And if you notice in the photos, there are never any stars in any of the photos, which is a little odd. But when you calculate in exposure, light, the brightness of the
Cameras from 1969.
the brightness of the lunar surface, you're not going. It's very plausible not to pick up any light from the stars
because of the light
the
pollution.
the exposure of the camera. They have it turned up so high. It's very But you
got to think we're basically dealing with something that is on the same level as like a fucking Fujifilm disposable camera,
which is probably 10 times better. But you would think, hey, NASA engineers and scientists would think, we are going to the moon. Moon doesn't have an atmosphere. We probably could get a good look at the stars. Why don't we throw a telescope on this lunar module and have them look through a telescope on the moon to get a good look at the stars, or at least put some more focus on taking pictures of the stars to get a better look without even in the like I used to go to Kentucky all the time. You could really see the stars. Here, clear night, you still can't see stars because of light pollution. In urban cities, you can't, but you get out in the rural areas or in the areas where nobody lives, there's still a little bit of light pollution, but it's you get a much better view of the stars. It's amazing. But still, you're looking at it through an atmosphere. There ain't no atmosphere on the moon. You'd think they would have said, you know what, it might be a good idea to kind of do a little research and see what it looks like, what it actually looks like with no atmosphere. Didn't think about it on Apollo 11. It's almost like they were hiding it. Like, this is what deniers think. They knew they couldn't replicate it, so they just left it out, left it blank.
Fuck it.
And that goes back to the question the guy was asked. It's almost like they were prompted, because I believe Neil Armstrong's response was, you know what? I don't remember looking up at the stars. You're on the fucking moon, dude. And like I said, to how I started this podcast, human beings have been fascinated with the moon since the dawn of time. They are always looking up.
Okay.
If you're up there, you think you're going to take a couple minutes and just go, holy shit.
I don't know. I feel like
I'm
if
on
you
the
and
fucking moon.
I feel like if you and I went to the moon, we would be walking around like fucking be like, what the fuck are you doing, Phil? I ain't getting snuck up on by no moon aliens.
Well, we could do a whole fucking episode on some of the weird communications.
Bleep, blorp, blurp.
Well, no, I believe it was Apollo 11 where Buzz or Neil made, and it was caught by amateur radio, they made the comment, they're watching us from the other side of the crater.
Yeah.
Hey, who's watching us? Is it the Russians? Were the Russians there too? Or was it an alien? What the fuck was watching from the other side?
Could you imagine how funny that would be if the Russians were there too? It's just like,
or
like you're hopping along and you're like, oh shit.
Hey, Nikolai. Or
is it like that video? What's your name? Ezekiel. Fuck you, Ezekiel. Fuck you.
Or is Neil Armstrong or Buzz or whoever it was saying they're watching us? Or is that proof, dare I say, the Nazis were there? They made it in 1942.
I'll be honest. I don't give a shit who it was. If there was other humans there, it would be pretty crazy. Be they Russian, German, Sacagawea.
We have a commenter. If you're on the moon, I think you'd be too overwhelmed to worry about looking up. Just a thought.
But theoretically, you wouldn't even have to look up either.
You just look out.
Yeah.
Because the moon is so much smaller. And it's dark. I think if I was on the moon, I'm going to take once I get out and say, suck it, Soviets. Communists, suck it. I got 2 words for you. I'm going to take a walk. I might do a moonwalk just to be a smart ass.
That wouldn't exist in 1969.
Well, I'm just saying, if I went today. I might take a minute and say, damn, son of a bitch, I'm on the goddamn moon. I'll turn around and look, say the Earth, do this number, because you do it, we've all done it as a kid, to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this to the Earth. Fuck you, Travis, I'm squishing your head right now.
This is because this is what happens when you don't have the McRib year round.
I think I would take a damn moment to take in the motherfucking scenery. I just think. Or,
I don't know. I feel like I might be doing some really dumb shit.
I'd probably be doing snow angels in the moon dust.
I'd be like, now for my next scientific experiment before we leave, I have to find out what a fart sounds like in space.
Okay, I think we've covered. Okay, let's talk about the proofs that it actually happened.
Okay.
Now, we know the U.S. If you ever traveled around the U.S., we are a bunch of litterers.
Mm.
We got to employ them prisoners to pick up trash. So
Making those Italian Native American people sad. So
we left a lot of shit on the moon. Tang wrappers.
Really?
Probably used condoms. I don't know. I don't know what Michael Collins, and fucking Neil were doing in that little tight space. But we left a lot of shit. And that, like I said, other countries have sent probes to the moon. And other countries actually, have sent satellites to the moon. China, for instance. And they have seen pictures, they have showed us pictures of the debris and shit. We left a freaking rover there. Not a dog, an actual 4-wheeled rover. We just left that shit there. And they sent back pictures that shit is there. However, where it gets interesting, the best evidence of shit that was left there was from Apollo 14 up. Not a lot from Apollo 11. The later missions, yes, they've seen a lot of the debris and shit left there. And we've dropped those laser pads where you can bounce a laser off, as So there is proof that we set foot on the moon. But here's where it gets in there. That's pretty much the proof, whatever. I mean, it's common sense, but do you think, I'll give my opinion, what do you think? Do you think Apollo 11 landed on the moon? A little, Chalupa, shut it.
I don't know. I mean, even if it wasn't Apollo 11, like, someone did.
That's kind of my point. When we started off this podcast, I said I believe the U.S. and NASA sent men to the moon. Sent somebody to the moon. Men, U.S. citizens, astronauts walked on the moon. The question is, did Apollo 11 astronauts,
specifically,
those three gentlemen,
and were they the first?
I believe if they were I don't believe anybody was there before them. I don't.
What about the Anunnaki?
Probably. I don't find it that far out of the realm of possibility that the U.S. government and NASA did fake the moon landings. The Apollo 11 landing. It's very possible. Just for the mere fact we were so far behind in the space race. Soviet Union was very close. We had to win. Think about if we did not win the space race. We probably would have lost the Cold War. We probably would have been speaking Russian.
We'd be the ones fighting on dash cameras.
Yes. Or we'd be involved in that slap fucking shit.
I've been watching slap fighting.
I know you've been watching it. I've been meaning to have a talk with you. I seriously
It's just so it's so asinine. Like, you just watch it and you're like, it doesn't make any sense. Why are you volunteering to do this?
Now, but getting back to I think the technology, we did have a technology problem in 1969.
There was none?
1970, 70, maybe we got it to where 14 and up could go and actually complete the mission of landing a man on the moon. But we had to win the space race. We had to basically knock that out of the park and fake it to shut Russia up. But also, listen, here's where I have a problem with that too, thinking that 11 was completely hoaxed. We were in a space race with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, and Apollo 11 ended the war, or the space race war, put the nail in the coffin, we beat them. Russia fucking took their rocket and went home. Do you think if we faked it, the Russians didn't know we faked it and wouldn't call fucking bullshit?
Do you think the Russians wouldn't have potentially tried to fake it first for the same purpose?
They were like, oh, why didn't we think of that? I hear a funny story about the millions of dollars NASA spent on trying to develop a pen that would write in zero gravity. And the Russians go, we take pencil. Take pencil. Don't need pen. Why does my Russian accent sound like an Indian or a Native American?
You gotta do.
Native American. Anyway, I don't think the Russians would or the Soviet Union would let us. You gotta remember, this was after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Tensions were fucking high between us. Up to what?
It was the Cold War.
The 80s?
It was like the height of the Cold War.
I remember the Cold War. I remember the, nuclear bomb, you get under the desk shit. Which I don't know what those
desks. Fucking, what was that movie, like Iron Eagle or some shit like that?
I don't know what a desk is going to do on a nuclear explosion, but
right, or going into the hallway and putting your head between your legs for a tornado drill. Why do we do that? So you can kiss your ass goodbye, Timmy. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, I remember those days. What year were you born?
89.
What year?
I never had to do anything like that. I did the tornado drills.
It was pretty much, I think, Cold War, what, 88?
Some shit like that.
87 when the wall fell, something like that. So
I was the first child born after there was no Cold War.
So anybody under the age of 33 has no recollection or no memory, or under the age of 35 has no memory of what it was like to live in the Cold War times, where threat of nuclear annihilation.
Makes me want to watch The Americans.
So I don't think the Russians would let us, or the Soviet Union would even, they would call bullshit on us so freaking quick.
Or like I said, they would have beaten us to it.
But now, we didn't, I believe we didn't have the technology to make it to the moon at 1969 in July. Maybe
Now in August.
Maybe 670, something happened or whatever. Technology advances. But also where I have a little bit of a hole in that philosophy is, you and I have talked about on this podcast, and people have heard it, the government is 20 years ahead of us in technology.
Mm-hmm.
What we have right now in technology, this computer, this phone, the government has had this since 2000, 20 years. They are way far advanced than us. Why wouldn't that be the same in 1969?
Right.
So they actually had possibly 1989 technology.
Macintosh Tower computers.
Yes.
God damn it.
To get so that's where that
Good thing I finished it.
that falls apart a little bit. The technology falls apart. We know the government is much, the military and NASA is much more advanced than what they have a lot more capability than what we know they have.
Why do I feel like Russia's first attempt to get to the moon was just a dude in an airplane, and they're like, fly up.
All they took is a bottle of vodka and a bag of chips.
Hold your breath. Oh my god.
But so I mean, technology is iffy. I think probably, if I'm being honest, NASA was a little bit more advanced than what we believe they were in 1969.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know. Like,
I think it's very plausible that they faked the moon land, the Apollo 11 moon land.
so you're
And
saying
I
they
think
did it with
mainly
80s
because-
technology? So the rocket ship had like fucking neon all over it
Yeah.
and shit.
But I think it's mainly because if they did fake it, I think it's mainly not because of technology. Well, a little bit because of technology, but because of the Van Allen, the radiation belt problem, getting through that. But even if we did find a way to get through that, here's where I think explains some of these pictures. I think a lot of the pictures were fake because they knew they were going to have to go through this radiation. The film probably wasn't going to make it through it.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't bring film back. So they faked the pictures here beforehand to have some sort of proof.
I like the air quotes. The pictures.
I think that kind of explains some, because there are some, like I said, there are some of that weird picture shit is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now the video is a little weird too, but there's explanations for that too. A lot of the video is grainy, just for the mere fact it was
1969.
But it was a camera.
And they're on the moon.
It was a camera pointed at a monitor. So it was a picture of a picture, a video of a video.
Yeah, and it was already in like 260p.
Right. So that's kind of why some of, we have the technology to make the moon, but we don't have high def. What the fuck? It's a picture of a picture or a video of a video, which kind of explains stuff. Now, what's funny is that we're going to end it here in a minute or in a second. I'm wrapping it up. I'm landing the plane. I'm landing
the lunar module.
Yeah, I'm hitting the gas canister. I got buzz. Basically, I'm farting.
Fart away.
What was I saying? Oh. Now
You fail. Oh my god! Shoot me in the fucking dick.
all the video. Apparently I heard stories that there is high def footage, or there was high def footage, and the original broadcast was high def footage. But what everybody saw was the picture of the video of a video, and it was on VHS or beta type tapes.
No laser disc.
No, apparently not.
Bullshit.
But apparently, in the 80s sometime, somebody recorded over them. So those tapes are lost.
So like the wedding tape of the...
Or probably like the season finale of Seinfeld or something stupid like that. Or somebody jacking off and, masturbating.
the Super Bowl without the express written consent of the National Football League.
This is where, when who was it, Marcus Allen I was talking about earlier, said NASA was full of a bunch of fucking idiots.
National Football League.
But NASA was full of a bunch of fucking idiots. You would think the Apollo 11 mission, arguably one of the greatest achievements of mankind, if it happened, you think you'd put that in a special place too. Do not touch or tape over. Put
that's right up
a
there
sticky note on it.
That's right up there with the creation of like fruit gushers.
I mean, Tang was good. It was Kool-Aid with a tang, with a twang.
Kool-Aid with a little less flavor.
Yes. But you would think they would kind of put a little sticky note on these motherfuckers saying, do not tape over under no circumstance.
Right? Don't be a dick.
And apparently they've lost all the...
He said Seinfeld. It's like, now we can see what the effects of the re-entry are.
No shit for you. But apparently they've lost all the telemetry. And people, that's why we've never been back to the moon, because we don't know how, because somebody taped over all the telemetry, all the data. I think you would kind of put that in a safe.
Somewhere.
A fireproof safe.
A USB drive.
Right. I do think it's a little weird we've never been back to the moon. I mean, I can see it.
We're scared.
Waste of time, waste of money type thing. We got all the Apollo missions. We got everything out of it we could possibly get out of it. Or maybe the aliens told us don't come back, or the Nazis told us don't come back.
What would have happened if we would have made it to like Mars or some shit like that, like within the next 20 years, and now like John Glenn's walking around thinking he's hot and shit, and everybody's like, who the fuck cares? Fuck the moon. That was stupid.
Right.
They found alien fucking hamsters on Mercury. They're adorable.
I don't know. I mean, like I was saying, I think it's plausible that they faked the Apollo 11, but got there eventually.
Yeah.
70, 71, 72. Or maybe they didn't. There's a lot of questions with the Apollo 11. I hope it wasn't a hoax. I hope Neil, Buzz, and Michael Collins weren't fucking lying to us.
They look so trustworthy.
But
he punches like an honest man.
I'll tell you what, he layeth the smack down on
he's
his candy
He's
ass.
like Hank Hill.
All right. You got anything you want to add about the moon landing?
No, my mind is boggled at this point. I have to reevaluate a lot of things.
You know what I know is faked? The talent on this podcast. It's not even faked very well.
I never even said I was talented.
All right. Anyway. All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Preach. Nope, just
preach.
preach.
I appreciate you guys sticking this out for our debauchery of the English language. Of everything else we do entirely wrong. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. We will see you next week. I don't know what we're going to do next week.
We lost a subscriber during the show.
Well, fuck you then. We didn't want your ass anyway.
Boo!
Suck it, biatch.
That's funny.
If you ain't down for the ride.
TikTok, GITM.
I had a stroke, motherfuckers.
Instagram.
You think the stroke could at least get us 400 fucking subscribers.
You got to tell the story. You got to be like, I survived a stroke. This is my story. I had a stroke.
I'm not even asking for a GoFundMe. I just want subscribers.
Oh, you GoFundMe. We could buy some subscribers.
All right. We will see you next week. I don't know what we will be covering, but check us out on Instagram. What's our Instagram?
We'll find out.
What's our
Ghost_night_podcast.
Twitter at
night_ghost.
Tiki-Taki.
GITN.podcast.
Check those social medias out, and you will probably get a heads up of what we will talk about next week. Don't know whether it'll be Sunday or Wednesday. Probably be Wednesday because Sunday is AFC Championship game, and Phil and Travis will be busy doing something. I might be having another stroke. Hell, I might have testicular cancer by that week. I don't fucking know. I will come up with some kind of medical condition.
Par for the course.
But probably be next Wednesday. So thank you for visiting with us.
And Godspeed. It's an astronaut thing.
Houston, we have a problem. Which mouse do I use to turn this godforsaken live stream off?
Fuck it.
Fuck it, we're out. Good night.